we were going through the criticisms of early nationalists. This way we had stopped last class. That is, uh, again repeating criticism of early nationalists. This way we had stopped the criticisms, right? Now going parallel, structured questions. Structured questions. Now something very important I want to say. You go through short questions, right? If you find anything difficult, right, or finding the answer, you can simply ask me. You can, yes, put the question in WhatsApp, question number, right? I have got the questions of the new edition. So you can send me the question number and then I will give you the answer, right? If you are unable to find the answer of short questions, right? Structured questions, I'm giving you the answers during the class hour, right? I'm not posting any answers in the WhatsApp group, right? It's all being discussed. It's all being discussed during this 1 hour time period which we are getting, right? So you should be alert. Those who are, yes, late behind, right? So you will face problems at the end of the day. We have done criticisms of early nationalists. My page is differing, right? I think so. You can open to the page, criticisms of early nationalists. We had done achievements, and then we had done criticisms. We had done criticism of early nationalists. Now, your criticism of early nationalists was this method, the method mentioned over here. The methods used by early nationalists of passing resolutions and sending petitions were criticized as inadequate. Now, the reason why it has been called as inadequate because they were depending on the generosity of the Britishers, right? That is total petitions, prayers, or if I say they were simply pleading, right, for their demands, right? So this was considered as totally inadequate, right, not sufficient. And it is really understood that if you plead, if you, yes, simply keep on, yes, giving petitions, they are not going to listen to you, right? So that is why this has been considered, this has been criticized as inadequate, right? So they depended on the generosity of the British instead of relying on their own strength. Now, own strength, that is, they did not believe that they were, yes, they had the power to get or fulfill their demands, right? Now, second point, that is, they failed to realize that British and Indian interests were clashing. Now, what was the interest of the Britishers? To drain the wealth of India, right? To extract the resources of India and send it to Britain, right? This was the main motive of the Britishers, right? Whereas the Indians, they wanted their welfare, right? The welfare of the Indians. So what was happening? The interests were clashing, right? Here, where at the side we see Britishers exploiting India's resources, carrying it away to India, and India nothing getting in return, right? So British, or if I say Britain, were using India's resources to increase its wealth. Next, third, the early nationalists did not bring or failed to draw the attention of the masses. They simply failed to get the attention of the masses, right? So the masses did not come in touch with them, right? The masses did not get in touch. So it was a great failure, right? It was only consisting of few people. It was consisting of only few people. Now, who were these people? I had explained last class. Who were these early nationalists coming from the middle class? Now, your middle class definition is different. That is, educated middle class professionals like lawyers, doctors, journalists, and teachers, right? So these are the criticisms of early nationalists. The criticisms of early nationalists. Now, next you have the subtopic mentioned over here. That is official attitude towards the Congress. Now, what was the official attitude towards the Congress? First of all, when we see or when we had read in the second chapter, I think AOU, right, was a person who was responsible for laying the foundation of the Congress, right? And Lord, or if you can recall, Viceroy Dufferin, who had favored the formation of Congress. Now, what was the reason behind favoring the formation of Congress? That it would act as a safety valve, right? It would act as a safety valve where it could easily come to know the grievances of the Indians through this, or if I say through this organization, right? So earlier, right, they were positive about it. They attended the meetings. If you can read yourself, right? So not different right to drive. So now, in fact, in the beginning, British government looked upon Congress movement with favor, right? It was always in favor. The Congress members invited to a garden party by the Viceroy, right? The then Lord Dufferin in Kolkata and Governor of Chennai 1886. So they all attended the party together. But gradually their attitude started to change, right? So, however, instead of being a tool in the hands of the authorities, the Congress gradually became the focus of Indian nationalism. So, no more it was a tool, right? So, it is not going to be a tool or an implement, right, being used by the Britishers, right? So, now it was focusing on India's, if I say India's freedom struggle had begun, right? I will not say it was a vigorous freedom struggle, but a gradual, slow and steadily, things were changing, right? Gradually became the focus of Indian nationalism. Now, next, you can see next half. Now, what happened later on is gradually, 1885 it was formed, but within 2 years we see the difference. Lord Dufferin attacked National Congress in his speech, and he started to ridicule. Now, what is the meaning of ridicule? Ridicule here means when you make fun of someone, right? So this he started to make fun of Congress. He ridiculed it as a representing only a microscopic minority. I think you know microscopic, a very small organism, right? Something which is not visible at all, right? So he called Congress as a microscopic minority of the people, something which is almost it's not visible at all, right? A very small portion of India, right? So British official criticized the National Congress and branded its leaders as disloyal babus and violent villains. So later on, if I say it's mentioned in quotes as well, these people were considered as disloyal. Babus were so they were all educated people, so they were called as babus, right? And gradually they were called as villains, right? Violent ones, violent villains, right? Next half, if you see, that is 1890s, right? The government employees were forbidden from participating in the Congress meetings. So gradually, you know, if I say Indians were there being employed in the government services, British government services, they were asked not to attend the meetings, right? Because they realized that gradually it was becoming very powerful. So realizing that the growing unity of the Indians posed a major threat to their rule, right? So they encouraged, if you can see, right, later on they were playing the card of divide and rule, dividing the Hindus and the Muslims. It's the best method, right? And so this what they are actually they started to adopt, right? So the British pushed further the policy of divide and rule. They encouraged Syed Ahmad Khan, Raja Shri Prasad of Benares, and other British individuals to start an anti-Congress movement. So this is what they started to do. It was right. So one side Muslims, one side Hindus, right? So this is how they started communalism between the Hindus and the Muslims. So they followed a policy of granting minor concessions to put down the growth of nationalism. So this is how I give you something in return, right? Concession. So some way or the other, they tried to stop the people from entering the Congress or entering the national movement. However, their policy of repression and hostility made the Congress more powerful. But this hostile attitude of the Britishers made more Congress more and more vigorous in their movement, right? So this is in brief about the attitude of the Britishers towards the Congress, right? First of all, when it was formed, it was quite, if I say, good enough, right? But gradually, it started to change, right? I'm very upset with the number of participants, very upset actually, right? And all these names are being registered. If you are not aware, right, telling you, all these names are being registered in the records of the school, right? So that is why I'm telling you, you should be a part of the class. If you miss out, you really miss out. And you think things are going to help you out in some way or the other, you have all kinds of books or friends to help you out. No, individual study is more important. Now next we come to Dadabhai Naroji, right? His contributions is mentioned, right? Then you have Gopal Krishna Gokhale and S.N. Banerjee, right? Now, Dadabhai Naroji, I think you have a picture study as well. Identify the person in the picture and mention his contribution to India's freedom struggle under the following head. You have picture study, if you can see. His view about the nature of British imperialism, that's the first question. B, his achievements in strengthening India's nationalism, Indian nationalism. C, his view on the cause of poverty in India. We will be covering all these topics, and I want everyone to have a pencil or pen to write down. I will be giving an answer as well. Now, here in brief, who was Dadabhai Naroji? You can read it all by yourself. He belonged to a Parsi family, right? Coming from Mumbai. He was a professor in mathematics, right? And then gradually he turned, right? And went to England as a partner in a firm, right? So this is how he gradually yes, moved to England. He was elected to Mumbai Municipal Corporation as well, and later to the town council. Now it is mentioned the newspaper edited by him, Ras Guftar, right, which means speaker of truth. And he also started magazine, Dharma Marga Darshak. So these are certain, if I say in brief about Dadabhai Naroji, his background, and he started movement against vernacular press act and the atrocities meted out to the poor peasants by zamindars. Next, you have contribution. Contribution here, it is contribution will be covering picture study B, answer B, okay? That is his achievements in strengthening Indian nationalism, right? Contributions. So you have contribution, India's unofficial ambassador, right? He was considered India's unofficial ambassador. Then as an ambassador during his stay in England, Dadabhai was looked upon as India's unofficial ambassador fighting for the cause of his country. In 1865, he founded London Indian Society in collaboration with W.C. Banerjee to publicize grievances of Indians, right? So this is in brief that he stayed in England, right? And then he founded London Indian Society along with W.C. Banerjee to yes, put forward the grievances of the Indians. Next, what we see, he was the first Indian to become the member of British House of Commons. So he was first person to become the member of House of Commons. Now, what is House of Commons? It is like the Parliament of India. So over there, it is called as House of Commons. So while he was a member, right? While he was a member of the British Parliament, he brought to notice of the House important matters related to India. He was in favor of appointing educated Indians to high posts. It was due to his efforts that we see that 1893 House of Commons passed a resolution to hold ICS examination in England and India simultaneously. So for the first time, certain changes were taking place. And he founded the East India Association in London as well. If you can recall, right, second chapter, precursors of the Congress, East India Association was the precursor of Indian National Congress, right? Now we come to role in Congress. Dadabhai's role in Congress was praiseworthy. He took active part, right? And he passed resolution. He was chosen thrice as the president of Congress, 1886, 1893, and 1906. So this is something very remarkable, right? So resolution on self-government, Bicos, Swadeshi, and national education. All these were passed under his presidentship, right? So something very, if I say praiseworthy to say. Next, we see that is the demand for Swaraj from Congress platform for the first time goes to him. So for the first time, Swaraj was being demanded from the Britishers under the presidentship of Dadabhai Naroji. Next, expose economic ills of India. Economic ills of India. So this is very important, where Dadabhai Naroji exposes the true cause of India's poverty, right? So he says that is India was being exploited in every way by the Britishers. Dadabhai's view on Indian economy was given in his work entitled Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. Please underline this. Please underline poverty. Yes, last to last year, question had been asked, name the book written by Dadabhai Naoroji. So, Poverty and Un-British Rule in India, you're going to write down where he mentions about his drain theory. His famous drain theory explained on how India's wealth was being drained to England through various ways. So, this is very important, where he explains about the economicals, and his drain theory has been mentioned. That is through poverty and un-British rule in India. Right? Next, we come to now. I want to give the answer. You should be holding your pencil, pen, whatever you have. Right? Come to picture study. Picture study A. Picture study A. His views about the nature of imperialism. His views about the nature of British imperialism. Please write down this answer. Dadabhai Naoroji, write down the answer. Dadabhai Naoroji, often regarded as the grand old man of India, Dadabhai Naoroji, often regarded as the grand old man of India, who witnessed the British imperialism as dogmatic, who witnessed the British imperialism as dogmatic and commercially exploitative. Full stop. Repeating again this line, Dadabhai Naoroji, often regarded as the grand old man of India, who witnessed the British imperialism as dogmatic and commercially exploitative. Full stop. The chief ambition of the British, the chief ambition of the British was financial exploitation of India. The chief, CHIEF, the chief ambition of the British was the financial exploitation of India. Full stop. According to Dadabhai Naoroji, you can use abbreviations, okay? Move your hands fast. According to Dadabhai Naoroji, the British emptied several resources of India. The British emptied several resources of India and carried to Europe in the form of export duties, custody, wages, raw materials, export duties, custody, wages, raw materials, etc. Full stop. Dadabhai Naoroji was initially the first person in India to describe. Initially, Dadabhai Naoroji was initially the first person in India to describe British rule in the prospect of the drain of wealth theory. Full stop. It is a unilateral, unilateral. It is a UNILATERAL. It is a unilateral substitution of capital. It is a unilateral substitution of capital from India. It is a unilateral substitution of capital from India to British with no or limited profits from there. He considered the drain of wealth as a root condition as a root condition of poverty in India. As a root condition of poverty in India. He considered the drain of wealth as a root condition of poverty in India. Right? So this is the answer about his views, about the nature of British imperialism. Now speak his achievements in strengthening Indian nationalism. You will write down, right? You will write down his contributions. If you can see, first contribution mentioned in your book under India's unofficial ambassador, right? You will write down his stay in England. Dadabhai was looked upon as India's unofficial ambassador, fighting for the cause of his country, right? You will write this. Then you will write down in 1865 he founded London Indian Society. 1865 he founded London Indian Society, right? Then come below, you will write down, underline, he was the first Indian to become the member of the British House of Commons. Was the first Indian to become the member of British House of Commons, right? Now come below, under this you will write down, it was due to his efforts, yes, first point, second paragraph, okay? It was due to his efforts that in 1893 the House of Commons passed a resolution in favor of holding ICS examination in England and India simultaneously. Then you will write down 1866 he founded East India Association in London. So this is under first point, India's unofficial ambassador. Then second, role in the Congress, you will write down. You will write down, that is Dadabhai's role in the Congress was praiseworthy, right? This much. And then you will write down, he was elected. He was elected as President of Congress thrice. Making it very short, okay? That is 1886, 1893, 1906. Resolution on self-government, boycott Swadeshi and national movement were passed by Congress under his presidentship, right? So this is what you're going to write down. And then third point, you write down that is Dadabhai's view on Indian economy was, that is, exposed economic ills of India. Third point. Dadabhai's view on Indian economy are given in his work entitled Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. Dadabhai's view on Indian economy are given in his work entitled Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. His famous train theory explains how India's wealth was being drained to England through various ways. Right? So this is your answer about his achievements, right? Achievements include his contribution. Now his views on the cause of poverty in India, right? So again, this is part of, if you see, expose economic ills of India, right? Actually, this is being covered. This whole paragraph is being covered under this. Are you, yes? So you're going to write this, his views on the cause of, or I think I'll just call out this answer. It's better I call out this answer. Please write down. Please write down his views on the cause of poverty in India. Or I think so it's better you can write down this point. Expose economic ills of India. Expose economic ills of India. That's the main cause of India's poverty. guys one more answer. I'm just reading out for you, or you can write down. Dadabhai Naoroji was the first man to say that internal factors were not the reason of poverty in India. Dadabhai Naoroji was the first man to say that internal factors were not the reasons of poverty in India, but poverty was caused by the colonial rule. Was caused by the colonial rule. That was draining the wealth. That was draining the wealth and prosperity of India. Repeating again from the beginning, Dadabhai Naoroji was the first man to say that internal factors were not the reasons of poverty in India, but poverty was caused by the colonial rule. But poverty was caused by the colonial rule that was draining the wealth and prosperity of India. The drain of wealth was the portion of India's wealth. The drain of wealth was the portion of India's wealth and economy. The portion of India's wealth, portion, P-O-R-T-I-O-N, the portion of India's wealth and economy that was not available to Indians. Not available to Indians. So this is the answer. If you can write down his views on the cause of poverty in India. Right, so I've covered picture study. Now next, you have Gopal Krishna Gokhale, right? And again, you have a question on Gopal Krishna Gokhale as well, right? We will go through the answers along with that, right? So, coming to Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Now, you can go through Gopal Krishna Gokhale from where? Kolhapur, Maharashtra, right? You can go through this. We start with the contribution, right? He was a very popular leader of the Indian National Congress, right? And he presided over the Varanasi session of Congress in 1905. And he had faith in Britishers, if I say. Now, you have his contributions. First contribution over here, first point, right? Persuaded the British for reforms. So Gokhale favored the use of constitutional means. So he always used constitutional means to achieve his goals. That is not fighting or struggling. So he simply went for constitutional means for reforms through petitions and prayers, right? So he opposed the policies. Now you have a question at the back. That what were the policies? Right? You have a question at the back. State three policies of the imperial regime which were opposed by Gokhale, right? Question number you have under Gopal Krishna Gokhale, or that is A. Three policies of imperial regime which were opposed by Gokhale. You will write down this point. 1, 2, 3. That is Roman 1, 2, 3. Incurring huge expenditure on the. He criticized the government on the issue, such as incurring huge expenditure, right? So he asked them not to spend extra money. Next, second, adopting the policy of racial discrimination, right, in appointment of high posts. And third, imposing production tax on cotton. So these he simply opposed, right? So you are going to write this. So he opposed the policy of British government whenever necessary. So he criticized. So you are going to write this as your answer, right? Of A under Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Now B. What role did he play? This we will go through, but before that, there were certain reforms he asked, right? He pled for certain reforms. That is, he played an important role in the passage of Minto Morley reform. This we will go through. Don't have to worry, right? So, passage of Minto Morley reform. Sorry. He also served as a member of Indian Public Service Commission as well, right? So, and urged to increase the share of Indians in higher services. And then, during his visit to England, he tried to persuade the British statesmen not to give effect to partition of Bengal. We will go through partition of Bengal, right, 1905. So he asked, right, to stop the partition of Bengal. Next, servants of Indian society. Gokhale set up the Servants of India Society, right? And why it was set up? To train national leaders. Please underline. Who would dedicate themselves to the service of India. So he formed this society. Next, the members are mentioned over here. The other members, Srinivas Shastri, Hridaynath Kanzru, right? Next, third point, role as a member of Imperial Legislative Council. Now you have a question, if you see at the back, what role did he play? B, under Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Did he play as a member of Imperial Legislative Council? This is going to be the answer. You're going to write down at least 4 points, right? So as a member, he pled, he asked, right, in the council for reduction in salt duty and taxes. Okay, so he asked to reduce salt duty and abolition of excise duty on cotton goods. So simply, if it's mentioned over here very clearly, he asked to reduce the taxation which was being imposed on the salt and also the excise duty on cotton goods. Next, third, he has made a lot of efforts to he relentlessly made efforts to lead to reduction in toll tax. Now, toll tax we all have to pay while traveling, right? So he asks the British government to stop to take, or just to stop, not to take extra toll tax. And then he tried to introduce a bill with the view to make primary education compulsory. I think we have compulsory primary education today, right? So in those days, he asked to make primary education compulsory, right? But it was not that successful for him. Next, being an economics, he demanded radical changes in fiscal policies. Now, what is fiscal policy? In the financial policies of the British government, he asked to make certain changes and to provide better jobs to educated Indian men, right? So this is what he demanded. And next, he impressed upon the government to reduce the land revenue. Land revenue again, the taxes which were being taken from the peasants, he asked to reduce the land revenue, right? So these are certain demands which he made, being as a member of Imperial Legislative Council, right? Now, next we have, that is, how did he try to arouse national awakening? How did he try to arouse national awakening? Now, national awakening, this you can write down. There can be different points how he tried to arouse national awakening, right? Wait, I'm just telling you. I think it's better I will give you the answer. First thing you will write down. I think you will write down. I think we have time. You can write down 4 points. I'm telling you. How did he arouse the national awakening? How did he arouse national awakening? I'm very disappointed. Okay, with the number of children. I think all of you are in touch with each other, right? And you people keep on missing the classes. Very disappointing. That is why now I'm giving the answers. I will not be sending any answers. Whatever I discuss, it will all be given provided in the class itself. So how did he arouse national awakening? First point. First point, you write down. He set up Servants of Indian Society in 1905. You can mark in your book as well if you want. First point, he set up Servants of Indian Society in 1905. Repeating again, first point, he set up Servants of India Society in 1905. Second, the main aim was the main aim of the main aim of this organization was to train national leaders who would dedicate themselves through service to servants of India. To the service of India. The main aim of the society was to train national leaders who would dedicate themselves to the service of India. Right? I think you can mark it also. It's there. Second point under his contribution. Next point. He made people aware. He He made people aware that they belong to same country, India. He made people aware that they belong to same country, India. That they belong to same country, India. Tied, T-I-E-D, tied. Tied, T-I-E-D, tied by a natural bond. Tied by a natural bond. Full stop. And last point, on behalf of Deccan Education Society, on behalf of Deccan Education Society, he went to England. He went to England. He went to England on behalf of Deccan Education Society. Deccan Education Society, Deccan D capital, Education E capital, Society S capital. He went to England. He went to England to let people know, to let people know, to let people know about the true, to let people know about the true nature of British rule. The true nature of British rule. Okay, so this is about Gopal Krishna Gokhale. The answers have been given. Next, you have Surendranath Banerjee, right? First, you have certain paragraphs mentioned about his background, right? He was educationist, journalist, born in Bengal, right? He qualified Indian Civil Service examination, right? Then he worked as a magistrate after passing out as a civil servant. And then he was soon dismissed because he opposed the policy of racial discrimination. So when he started to oppose racial discrimination, he was simply, yes, dismissed from his job. Then he began his career as a professor in a college, Metropolitan College, right? He set up his own school, which later developed into Ripon College. And then later after it is mentioned, he was chosen as the member of Calcutta Corporation, right? He was elected to Bengal Legislative Council as well, like we have Vidhan Sabha and all, right? So he became a member of Bengal Legislative Council 4 times. And in 1921, he was appointed as a Minister of Self-Government as well, right? And health by the Governor of Bengal. So these are his achievements to some extent, right? Some way he achieves. Next, he advocated use of constitutional methods for the attainment of India's goal. His famous saying was opposition where necessary, cooperation where possible. So this is what he said, that yes, we can achieve our goals through constitutional ways, by not being violent, not being ferocious, but through constitutional means we can achieve our goals, right? So this is what he said. Now I want everyone to see the next question which you have under Surendranath Banerjee. Next question which you have under Surendranath Banerjee, please see what it is mentioned. I think so. I think what was why did he establish Indian Association? I think that's the question which you have. Why did he establish Indian Association? Okay, district. Okay. Why did he establish the Indian Association, right? Why did he establish Indian Association? Under contribution, you get it. First point, he established Indian Association in 1876. Its aim was to educate the people, create strong public opinion in the country, and to arouse public consciousness and unity. This is the answer, right? So I think all of you got it. 4A, why did he establish the Indian Association? Next, 4B. What was India's political goal according to Surendranath Banerjee? Now, under Surendranath Banerjee, this is nowhere mentioned. Under Surendranath Banerjee, it is nowhere mentioned. So for this, you will write down the policies, or if I say the under early nationalist, under the demands of early nationalists, it is mentioned. Okay, let me repeat the question for you again. It is being asked, that is, what was India's political goal, right? So India's political goal was, that is, the political goal of India was to move towards, or you can write down, it is in the book as well. India's political goal was to move towards, was eventually to move towards democratic self-government, right? So this was the main motive, that eventually they were asking for self-government, right? So this was the main goal, according to Surendra Banerjee, right? Now, how could it be achieved? So just now I read out how it could be achieved. He advocated use of constitutional methods. You have it in your book under Surendra Banerjee. Under Surendra Banerjee, that's the fourth paragraph, I think so. He advocated use of constitutional methods for the use of India's goal. His famous saying was, opposition where necessary and cooperation where possible. And cooperation where possible. So this is the answer. I think all of you have got it. Next. Come to the next question. That is contribution. Contribution. What was his contribution to India's freedom struggle? Right. First, you will write down under contribution. First point, he established the Indian Association. Right. So he established Indian Association in 1876 to educate the people, or to educate the Indian masses and create strong public opinion in the country. That's the first point. Second point, you will write down. Let me just explain, and then I'm telling you what you will mark. He created an all India political organization. Now, what was this? He convened Indian National Conference, which was merged with Indian National Congress, right? So this is what you're going to write down. He convened, Surendra Banerjee convened the Indian National Conference in 1883, right? Surendra Banerjee's Indian National Conference got merged with Indian National Congress in 1886, right? As both organizations had similar objectives. Is it clear? And then if you want, you can write down that he became the member. He presided over its two sessions, 1895 and 1902. Next, you have his political ideas. His political ideas, all mentioned over here. That is, he started a newspaper, Bengali. It served as a powerful medium. Next, in his book, Nation in the Making, gives an account of his political concern and his views about his self-government. Then he started other education, License Act, Arms Act, Vernacular Press Act, right? And was also against lowering of the age for the ICS civil service examination from 21 to 19. And he also opposed the Parliamentary Reform of 1909, which introduced separate electorates for Hindus and the Muslims. So this is about Parliamentary Reform, which I had just now read under Gopal Krishna Gokhale, right, which was giving separate electorate. He will read separate electorate in further chapters as well. What is this separate electorate for Hindus and the Muslims? And he also opposed division of Bengal by Lord Curzon in 1905. So these are the contribution of Surendranath Banerjee, right? So his contributions you can divide and write down into 3 points. So this is in brief. We complete with the chapter, right? We complete with the chapter. I think last class, though, children had told me that certain answers were not matching when I was calling out the answers. But some way or the other, I think you got the answers some way or the other, someplace, right? For example, question number 1A, I think this everyone had got. which segment of the society they belonged, what were their demands. Everyone must have got it. I hope so, right? Next, you had the other question, that is methods they adopted. I had told you the methods, first set of methods and second set of methods, and how you're going to write down. This was already told to you. Next, see, how did early nationalists help in the growth of nationalism? You will write down the contributions of early nationalists. Okay, that is 1C. Next, 2A, exposing true nature of British rule. How did they expose the true nature of British rule? I think last class, again, I had explained how did they expose the true nature of British rule. That is all under the criticism, right? This is how all mentioned under under the achievements of early nationalists. Achievement of early nationalists, and how they expose the true nature of British rule. This was all told to you last class. Next, I think was the attitude of these leaders towards the British, and why did they develop such an attitude? This is a question combined together, right? This was also told last class. This was also told last class. Right? If you have, you can raise your hand. Okay, any difficulty if you have, right? And next was reasons for the partial failure of the methods. As the class started, I think I read out the failures of the early nationalists. You'll write down all the 3 points, the failures of early nationalists, and then you had the questions on on those 3 leaders of early nationalists. So we have completed with the lesson, right? Again, repeating, those who are still there part of the class, I'm very disappointed actually, very disappointed. I'm going to give a yes complaint to father. And I will trace all those children who are just not being part of the answers. While discussing, while explaining, I tried to cover all the short questions, right? And you will get it, right? Please make that effort to find the answers. And if you fail to get the answer, please send it in the group that these answers we are not getting, right? And I will help you out. Is it clear? So we have completed with the 3 chapters of history and 1 chapter of civics, 1 chapter of civics, right? This is, and since being at home, I want everyone to be thorough with the first chapter of civics. You should be thorough with the first chapter of civics, because 10 marks from that chapter do come all the time, right? This is how the whole division sets are done of the questions, right? So 10 marks structured from that chapter will come, right? 10 marks, and maybe 4 marks short questions. Civics, I'm telling you, first chapter, right? So don't think nothing will come from that chapter. You should be thorough with that chapter thoroughly, because 14 marks you will be covering, right? 14 marks. I think 1 mark is also precious. So go through that chapter, prepare yourself. And next, you are going to prepare the first chapter of history as well, right? It is a very important chapter. Very important. We get questions throughout. I think this year also we had a question from that chapter. Whole 10 marks set question was there, okay? So go through it, right? So this is what I'm telling you briefly, how questions are framed. And yes, please, I'm telling you how you are going to prepare, right? Because I don't know when we are really going to meet, right? So please, if you're preparing at home, section A, you have 5 questions. Section A, that is history, you will get 5 questions, right? Now you will get from section A, part 1 question will be coming from part 1. 2 questions, that is mass phase of national movement, you will be getting 2 questions. Contemporary world, you will be getting 2 questions. Contemporary world, you will be getting 2 questions. Is it clear? Please, I'm telling you, you should be alert. 1 question, section A, please listen, history, part 1, Indian national movement, 1857 to 1917, you will get one question from this. Yes, from these 5 chapters, you will get one question. Next, second, yes, fast phase, you will get 2 questions from Mahatma Gandhi, from chapter 6 to chapter 9, right? 2 questions. And contemporary world, total, you are going to get 2 questions. Now here, contemporary world, you have chapter 10, 11 and 12. Chapter 10, 11 and 12, you will get 1 question. From chapter 10, 11 and 12, you will get 1 question. And chapter 12, right, 13 and 14, you will get 1 question. This is how the grouping of the questions are done, right? 13, 14 and 15, if I include 15 also, right? So this is how you're going to start preparing for the examination, right? Being lethargic is not going to help. If you miss out the class, it's all your trouble, right? You will create trouble for yourself at the end of the day. Because again, time is very short. So make sure you start preparing for your final examination. It's not about your half yearly or something like that. You should focus yourself and start preparing in that manner. Right now, I want everyone to go through. I said first, War of Independence, 1857, and Union Parliament. Please go through these chapters. Be thorough with the questions, answers, and any doubt. I am available. Right? You can ask me. Right? So this is what we have got over. Next day, right? We will be going through the 5th chapter will be from civics. That is the president and vice president. Next class, I will start with the president and vice president. So that's all for today, right? So that's all for today. And if any question, please let me know, right? Okay, then see you the next